Man United have just had their worst season in 50 years, finishing 15th in the Premier League and losing the Europa League final. But is it the manager or is it the players? Well, today we will be putting that to the test, as we will be using the last 5 managers and their tactics to simulate a season with this current squad to see which coach is the best, starting with the current manager, Ruben Amorim. Now, obviously, as he is currently the coach of the club, when you load into the game, the tactics are already preset to his current tactics. So we're not going to be making any changes to these tactics or the formation. For the lineup, I've just gone ahead and picked the 11 that played the most recent game against Chelsea, apart from the fact that Cunha's starting, who's injured in real life, but obviously he would be playing if he was fit. So what we're going to do now is just sim to the end of the season and see how the club performs, and let's see if Amorim can at least beat his performance in 24-25. So here we are at the end of the season, and let's take a look at how Ruben Amorim has done in his second year at the club. And you know what? In the Premier League, it's definitely an improvement. It's still nothing special, as he's finished 7th with 56 points. But I'll be honest, that's better than I thought he was going to do. He's ended up finishing 10 points behind Man City, who finished in 4th, and way off Liverpool, who won the league with 86 points. But considering he only got 31 points in his first 31 Premier League games, I don't think that's all too bad. FA Cup's not great, though. 3-0 loss against Ipswich away in the 5th round. That's not good enough. Got to be beating them. Beat Everton away in the 3rd round, which is actually quite decent. And then Leicester away in the 4th round. But losing to Ipswich is poor. So it's a 5th round exit in the FA Cup. And then in the Carabao Cup, in my opinion, a valiant effort. He reaches the quarterfinals where he gets knocked out 2-1 by Liverpool. Beat Bournemouth in round 3 and then Manchester City in round 4 to get there. So I think in the Carabao Cup he's done quite well. And he's actually got quite unlucky to draw Man City and then Liverpool. But that's it for Ruben Amorim. So we will note down how he and the other managers have done in all competitions so we can compare it at the end and see who did the best. For now, let's move on to the man who Amorim replaced, which is Erik Ten Hag. And my thing with Ten Hag is that I think that at his time at United, he never truly got to play the way that he wants to play, and maybe the way that he played at Ajax. But for this video, we are going to set the team up in the same way that 18-19 Ajax team played. And as you can see, we've done that here by playing a 4-3-3 holding formation. Ugarte kind of playing the way that Frenkie de Jong did, dropping deep, picking that ball up and driving it forward. Manu as a box-to-box and Bruno as the playmaker. The fullbacks are going to be bombing forward and the wingers are going to be coming inside. Tiki-taka football, short passes, that's the goal here. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, but let's see. We're going to be simming to the end of the season again. Let's see if Ten Hag would have done better if he just played his style of football. So here we are at the end of Erik Ten Hag's return season to Manchester United. Let's see how we got on. Wow, that is crazy. We can see that he also finished 7th, but he actually got 2 points more than Ruben Amorim did in the league. Because Amorim got 58, Ten Hag has got 60. So he's actually got Amorim beat in the Premier League, even though they finished in the same position. Ten Hag himself, though, finished 12 points behind the top 4 and 28 points behind the Premier League winners, which were again Liverpool. Then in the FA Cup, Erik Ten Hag got all the way to the semi-finals before getting knocked out by Bournemouth. I'll be real, that's a game that he could have won. 3-2 loss, and had he won it, he would have had Brighton in the final, so he could have genuinely won the FA Cup again. But still, the semi-final is a solid performance. And then finally, the Carabao Cup, where Ten Hag got all the way to the final. A final against Liverpool at Wembley, and he loses 2-0. So again, he doesn't come up with a trophy, but it's a solid performance. And he actually is able to beat Ipswich in a cup competition, which is ironic. So let's note down Ten Hag's performance in the table as well, and move on to the ex-player and fan favorite, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So here we are with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics. As you can see, we're lining up in a 4-2-3-1 wide. And if you'll remember from COVID times, this was all about keeping the structure and being lethal on the counter-attack. So we're going to be setting up in a mid-block, looking for those counter-attacking opportunities and giving Bruno the space to create. Those wingers are going to be bombing forward and inside. Fullbacks are going to come with him. Centre-backs stay back, and one of the midfielders goes forward as well. He finished 2nd with these tactics once in the Premier League, so they can't be that bad. But let's see how they do with this team. Let's sim to the end of the season. So here we are at the end of Solskjaer's return to Manchester United. Let's see how the ex-player got on. I'll be honest, I did not see that coming. He's actually done the best out of everyone so far. He's finished 6th with 64 points. He has still finished 11 points off of the top 4. So once again, no Manchester United in the Champions League, but he's done so well. And to be fair, still 35 points off of the champions. Wow, Liverpool, 99 points is a joke. But 6th with 64 points, that's the best we've seen so far. However, an early exit in the FA Cup, I'll tell you something, he's got unlucky there. He's got Arsenal away from home, and he's lost 4-2. It's a really bad result for him, but can you blame him? Nah, not really. You wouldn't expect them to win that game. And then in the Carabao Cup, I'll be honest, he could have done better there. Quarter-final, home loss to Brighton. Should be winning that game. Brighton went on to play Hull in the semis and then Man City in the final. He could have won a trophy here, I'll say it. Brighton then went on to play Hull City in the semi-final and City in the final. Genuinely, he should have got to at least a final. Could have actually won this trophy as well. But we will note his performance down in the table as well and move on to the most successful manager of anyone on this list, which is Jose Mourinho. So here we are, Jose Mourinho's Man United, and you can see that in terms of shape, it's actually quite similar to Ole. The only difference being that Mbeumo and Cunha aren't left mids and right mids, but they're also cams. Because Mourinho's United was all about staying in shape and keeping it compact. Centre back staying back, one of the DMs holding what used to be Pogba but now is Manu, getting a bit of license to go forward, and the striker staying up top as a target forward. It's a lot more defensive, probably also a lot more boring, but it did get United 81 points one season. So if he gets anywhere near that this season, fair play to him. Let's him to the end of the season and see how Jose does. So here we are at the end of Jose's season with this current squad. Let's see how the special one is done. He's ended up finishing 9th with 55 points. That's the worst performance in the league we've seen so far. And you know what? It was actually in a simulation where all other teams weren't even that good, so he had a chance here. And he was way off it as well. He ended up finishing 14 points behind the top 4. FA Cup as well, shocking. 3rd round exit against Sheffield United. He's having an absolute nightmare here. How has he lost against Sheffield away? And then the Carabao Cup, he does reach the final and loses it to Liverpool. Second manager to lose a Carabao Cup final to Liverpool now. But it's Jose Mourinho who delivers the worst Premier League season we've seen so far. But we'll still note down his performance and move on to the final man on this list, which is Louis van Gaal. The guy who we all thought would come in and have Man United playing tiki-taka football, but when he came in, they became one of the most boring teams you've ever seen. Like, if you think Arteta at Arsenal right now is boring, this was on another level. And when you take a deeper look at the tactics, it all kind of starts to make sense. The team sat quite deep, so we're sitting at 40 depth, short passing, it was a lot of possession, recycling the ball. All 4 defenders sat back, didn't really come forward. Ugarte is going to be sitting as the holding midfielder, with Manu getting a bit of space to go forward, but not too far. More of a deep-lying playmaker, with Bruno Fernandes really being the one who links midfield and defense to attack. He's going to have to drop deeper, pick that ball up and play it forward. Cunha and Mbeumo, no cutting inside on this one, touchline wingers. And then Sesko as a target forward, very isolated, throwing that ball up to him and praying that something comes of it. But who knows, maybe it wasn't the tactics, maybe it was the players at the time. Let's see if he can cook with this team. Let's him to the end of the season. And here we are at the end of Van Gaal's return to Man United. So let's look at how the 5th and final manager's done. Yeah, keep him away, keep him away. Yeah, United fans, you don't want him back. 11th with 49 points in the Premier League. By far the worst we've seen. Also the first one to have a negative goal difference in the league. Finished 22 points behind the top 4 and Villa still has a game to play. Liverpool, if they win their game against Villa, will have twice the points that United got. That is awful. In the Cup, it's not much better. A 2-1 loss at home against Villa in the 4th round of the FA Cup. After beating Fulham in the 3rd. I mean, a loss against Villa can happen, but when you do poor in the league, you need a cup. And then in the Carabao Cup, it's a 3rd round exit on penalties against Bournemouth. So it's a really poor season by Van Gaal. I mean, I didn't agree with his tactics. I never thought they'd work, but that is really bad. But after noting down how Van Gaal's done, we can conclude that Erik has done the best in this challenge.